Hello all, how are we doing? I hope we all are doing good. Yes. So today we are going to discuss about the new topic of class 8, that is microorganisms friend or foe. This is chapter 2nd of class 8. Okay. So in this chapter we will first talk about what are microbes or microorganisms. For microorganisms we can also call them microbes. Then what is microbiology? We'll also talk about microscope and characteristics and types of microbes or microorganisms, right? So this is what we are going to discuss in today's session, right? Now, as the name indicates, microorganisms. What are microorganisms? Those who know it, please mention it in the comments what microorganisms are, okay? So microorganisms are the organisms. Here are two words, one is organisms and the second one is micro. So these are the organisms which cannot be seen with the naked eye. They can be seen with the aided eye. When I say aided eye, it means that I need something to use with my eye. It can be your microscope or lens or something. Then only they are visible, right? So these are the organisms. Microorganisms, they are organisms which cannot be seen with naked eye. So they can be seen with the help of microscope. Okay. Now, there is a branch of biology in which we study about the microorganisms. What that branch of biology is called as? Please mention it in the comments if you know it. Okay. So the branch of biology in which we study about microorganisms is called as microbiology, right? And the scientists who deal with the microorganisms, who study about microorganisms, they are called as microbiologists. Okay. Now let's come to microscope. So microscope, they are of two types. One is light microscope and the second one is electron microscope. Okay. So light microscope, which uses light as a source for illuminating the object. When we have to see the object, how will we see it? We use certain lenses. Those lenses, they magnify the object that we have to study. But how do we see that? So the light is reflected, right? And that light, it illuminates and then we are able to see the object. So in light microscope, light is used for illuminating. However, in electron microscope, beam of electron is used for illuminating the object so that we can see it. Okay. So here what is used? Beam of electron, and here what is used? As the name indicates, light is used to illuminate the object. Okay. Now, if we have to study something in detail, some internal structures of the cell or something, then for that we require electron microscope. So electron microscope is required to study about something what is very, very microscopic, right, which is very, very tiny, right? To study that we require electron microscope. Okay. For example, viruses, if we have to study about viruses, they can be seen only under the electron microscope. They cannot be, they are not visible under the light microscope. Okay. Now, characteristics of microorganisms. So, characteristics means some basic properties of microorganisms. So, any microorganism, when we talk about their basic property. So one property is that microorganisms, they are present omni, like anywhere they are present. Anywhere you see, even if you see in a very low temperature region or areas which have very low temperature, even there the microorganisms are seen, right? And the microorganisms, they are seen in very hot areas as well, in the rainy season, anywhere, any part of the world. Even our body, it also contains lot many microorganisms, right? So microorganisms, they are omnipresent, or they are present everywhere. Present everywhere and in any range of temperature. Yes. Now, apart from this, microorganisms, they can, as I said, that they can survive any range of temperature. So how do they survive any range of temperature? For that, they make cyst over, they cover their body in a cyst. So this is also characteristic of microorganism. They cover their body in a cyst. Now when do they do this? When the conditions are extreme, under extreme conditions, or when the conditions are not favorable. So they cover their body in a cyst in unfavorable conditions. Okay. So they cover their body in a cyst in unfavorable conditions. What else? Any other characteristic that you know about microorganism? I'm waiting for it. Please mention it in the comments. Yes. See, as the topic only indicates, right? Microorganisms, friend or foe. So as the topic only indicates that they can be good or they can be bad. Friend means they are helpful and foe means enemies. So they are harmful, right? So microorganisms, they can be helpful or harmful too. Okay, so please copy this down. Okay, so now we'll talk about types of microbes or types of microorganisms. Yes. Right. So there are four broader categories. One is bacteria, algae, fungi, protozoa, and one more is there, that is virus. Okay. So these bacteria, algae, fungi and protozoa, they can be seen using the light microscope. However, the viruses, they require electron microscope to be seen. Okay. Or to study about the viruses, we require electron microscope. However, bacteria, algae, fungi and protozoa, they can be seen using the light microscope. Okay. Now, there are certain characteristics of bacteria. For example, bacteria, they are mostly single-celled and they live in colonies. Yes? Single-celled, live in colony. Colony means they live together, right? Then they contain cell wall. Cell wall, which is the characteristic feature of animal cells, but the bacteria, they contain cell wall. And then they do not contain nucleus. A true nucleus is absent. True nucleus is absent in bacteria. So what do they contain? They contain nucleoid region. Now in this nucleoid region, the nucleus does not contain a membrane, but the DNA is present in the bacteria. However, that DNA is scattered. It is not bound in a membrane bound nucleus. It is seen scattered in the bacteria, and that region is called as nucleoid region, right? For example, suppose this is the bacterial cell. Yes. So here we will see that DNA is scattered and other parts will be there. Somewhat like this is the structure of the bacterial cell. Yes, this is flagella. These are villi, and this area, right? This is the DNA, so this is called as, okay, I'll mention it, DNA. And this region is called as, like where this DNA is scattered, this region is called as nucleoid region. Okay, so the bacterial cell, it does not contain a true nucleus, and it is called this, the part where this DNA is present is called as nucleoid region. Okay, so now let's talk about the algae. See, algae, they are plants, right? And they contain chlorophyll. As they contain chlorophyll, so they can photosynthesize. Yes. They can photosynthesize and prepare their own food. Okay. Now the next is, okay, some examples of algae I'll give you. For example, volvox. Yes. Chlamydomonas. Right? All these are the examples for algae. Now fungi. Fungi, they are non-green in nature, right? As they are non-green, so they cannot photosynthesize, right? They are non-green. They cannot photosynthesize, and examples can be like mushroom or yeast. Yes, they are fungi. And their mode of nutrition is saprophytic. They have saprophytic mode of nutrition. Right? Algae, they can produce their own food, but fungi, they are heterotrophic in nature and they have saprophytic mode of nutrition. They survive on dead or decay organic matter. Okay. Then protozoa. So protozoans, they can be both free and they are free living, or they can be parasitic also. Right? They can be both free living. Free living means which can survive independently, and parasitic means they need a host body to survive. Protozoans, right? Example of protozoa can be amoeba, paramecium, right? Then next is the viruses. See, virus, it is called as the connecting link between living and non-living. Why is it called as connecting link between living and non-living? Between living and non-living. Why so? Because unless or until the viruses they go into the host body, they are not able to grow or reproduce. Okay, so they require, once they are there in the host body, they are living, and once they are outside the host body, they do not have host body, they are non-living, right? So they require host body, and inside the host body they are living. Okay, example of virus can be poliovirus, then COVID-19, COVID virus, influenza virus, all these are the examples of viruses. So in this session we have discussed about types of microbes, and in the next session we are going to talk about why these microorganisms are called as friend. Okay, as we said, the topic itself says they are friend or foe. So how these microorganisms are friend for us, we are going to discuss about that in the next topic. And for this session, whatever we have covered, if you have any query, any doubt, please mention it in the comments. I'll be really happy to answer that. Until then, happy learning.